I would like now, thank you, I would like now to introduce the next speaker, so myself, that I will do the very weighted exercise to wrap up the result of the conference and to make you happy. I will start with the program. So this week will be an interesting, oops. Okay. It's coming, eh? It's tired. The system is tired like us, so. You can start sleeping. Eh? Okay. So, my presentation, as usual, will be quite short. I will try to give my personal impression, so I apologize if I'm not, I would say, touching all the points that were discussed in all the parallel sessions. Just my personal view of what happened this week, with the input coming from all my colleagues that were disseminated to the various sections to capture information, to give me information about what was discussed. So 1 week in Florence. What we have this week? We have 38 workshops, wow. 5 plenaries, 42 parallel sessions, 56 posters, 30 video interviews. What are the video interviews? You will see very soon. The wine tour, fantastic wine tour. Unfortunately, I cannot drink wine in this moment. The pizza dinner, and 3 competition and awards that you will see after my presentation, and the beautiful cultural city of Florence that by itself justifies your trip to the conference. So this year we experiment also new approach, not only presentations, more use of roundtables. Also, we experiment the use of learning cafe setup in which people start to discuss really about the problem that they face. And it's another way to continue to share experience about Inspire implementation and to find and to try to identify common solutions. But I'm very proud also by the poster sessions. In the past, posters were just because we don't have enough space for the oral presentation in the parallel section. But this time, I saw a lot of posters that should be in the plenary session in some cases, if not in the parallel session. And I was just to highlight one. One was dealing with data specification to work on agriculture. This was very interesting. This poster is telling us what Inspire can provide also in a field in which normally is not expected to contribute. These people were using the data models to develop something in relation to the management of agricultural lands. And in doing this, they identify what is missing in Inspire. So they give us input for the extension and for the evolution of our data specification. In the other poster, you see that people are starting implementing operational systems based on the fact that Inspire data are becoming available. So we solve the problem of data availability in a certain way. We are helping to have also data access. And as well, you can start to see emerging applications based on Inspire infrastructures. But then we also experiment the use of interviews. Why? We are in a critical year. We want to know exactly what is going when, what is going wrong, and we are interested to see which is the benefit of Inspire, which is the future, and anything else that we need to know. We collected 30 video interviews. We were not present, so we will analyze all these interviews in coming weeks, and we will produce a video that will be put on Inspire website in which you can see what the people are saying about Inspire. What the people are trying to say. Can we have the volume?
Different communities, different subjects, and different sort of data and information, and try to make order between the mass of individual positions and just to take a common position about the usage of such a very, very, very large amount of, as I said, data and information, and put a link between them. This is a very strong point. I think it has been a very great idea. For example, in my institute, when I arrived, I had 135 databases just without any link between them. And this was something useless in a general sense for the institute itself. So this is major benefit.
Then what about the future?
Well, the future of Inspire is just to have a sort of recognized, based, well, scientifically based and technologically based system to interact between different knowledges and information for different communities, for different goals and interaction. And this also in the regard of the open data policy and the open data policy in regard for the population and in general for public services. This is very important.
What else you want to say?
Well, I wish that in the future integration between different sources of data and information will be more and more integrated, and the usage of satellite information and spatial information in general and in situ data will be the basic idea, the basic philosophy to make up a different level of information. This is very important for all of us, and is very important for biodiversity, or human biodiversity in services and in supporting decision makers.
Thank Professor Bernardo De Bernardinis. So you saw that each interview will have the possibility to express. It could be very negative. We hope not. I selected the one randomly, so it's not pre-selection, so far it's good. So where we are now? We started a long time ago in 2001 with the conception phase of Inspire that came with a proposal for a directive that was put on the table from the European Commission in 2004. And then the legal framework started to be developed with the Inspire directive adopted in 2007, all the implementing rules, and we are expecting to complete all the legal development cycle by the end of the year. Implementation in reality started already with the directive itself, putting some obligation for the member states in terms of data sharing, but as well for the implementing rules on metadata, forcing the member states to publish the metadata about the data under the scope of Inspire, and so on. So it's still ongoing, what we call initial implementation. But from the next year, we will have what we call implementation, maintenance, and evolution program. From the next year, all the rules are fixed, are established, and we are entering in the more operational part of our job. So we need a checkpoint. We should evaluate what we have done so far, identify the benefits, and as well, if there are, corrective measures to remove current gaps. So we need a checkup first. Inspire is a baby. It's a young baby. As the directive 2007, so Inspire is 6-year small boy. We should care about him. We should be sure that he's growing, educating in the right way. If I have to look to assess how our baby is, I try to use a couple of slides, and I apologize for not having asked indirectly the permission to use without data property agreement, that were used in the cross-border parallel section in this conference. And there was one slide that has been also presented in the previous plenary that was dealing about the user perspective about Inspire. And this slide concluded to say there is an enormous increase of Inspire data in the last month, making cross-border mixing and matching possible. But Harmonization of look and feel of data services within Inspire team remain a quick win. And don't forget, the real harmonization is scheduled for 2020. So the message is there, okay, Inspire start to provide access to the data, but if we look for a user perspective, it's not enough to share what we have so far. We need to share harmonized data. And the member states will have the time until 2020 to harmonize their data. But we hope we will push the member states and all you to try to anticipate what is the legal requirement to have the data harmonized by 2020 and to start to show to the user that they can do something with Inspire data as soon as they are becoming available. The second example that I selected is coming from a Nordic exercise in which they try to combine data coming from Nordic regions, and in particular, this is dealing with Sweden and Finland. So they try to see, I take one layer, this is the border, what you see in the middle is the border between Sweden and Finland, I take another layers, and then I take another layers, and then I take another layers, and this is what Inspire is. This Inspire is the possibility to combine data collected by two different countries and to show them and to use them in a cross-border area, or, if needed, in a macro regions. This is exactly what we are looking for and what we were expecting to have when, in 2001, we started to think about a European directive for creation of European spatial data infrastructures. But also in this positive example, there is something that we have to learn. Just to be able to produce this example, they spend a lot of time still in funding and accessing services that are needed to support this application. So this means that the work that we did in terms of the geoportal development, in terms of access to the metadata, is still not completed. In the future, it should be very easy to recognize which are the services and how to connect the services. Then we have issues regarding to the data that we are aware. The data are collected by different countries according to different procedures, to different quality criteria. And this is something that Inspire cannot do, but probably other initiatives can work and can contribute to address also the emerging problems in ensuring that the data that will be made accessible by Inspire are of the good quality or are of the quality requested by the users. So, cross-border applications are already today possible with all the limitations that I said before. So, geodata.gov made also a ranking about Inspire, and they classify ourselves like 3.5. So that is not bad. Eh? So that means that, okay, we are do it quite good. And in these specific problems, they identify the finding and accessing. It was the major issue that is not giving the 4 stars, and there is also half of the star that is not given for the projection issues. What I saw during this conference is also an increasing number of use of infrastructure, use of Inspire, together with information collected by the citizens. And in particular, this example is quite interesting, is the illegal waste discharge that are identified by Czech citizens. They are just collecting, they are just taking picture, and they, through an application on the smartphone or to a website or by mails or by ringing the phone and giving the information, they are just helping the local authorities to identify where people are doing illegal waste. And why they are using Inspire? Because Inspire is giving access to the cadastral parcel. And by combining the cadastral parcels with the legal waste, they can connect which is the owner that is associated to them. So after the checkup, you have normally your medical record, you are very good, you stay very well. We are not very well, but there are some issues. So Inspire 1.0, what is not today running as should? Data policies. We are still facing the problem of different licenses, that make interoperability a theoretical consideration, because for accessing to different services you need authorization, so you need to register it. And so when you try to combine different services, you have to register 4 or 5 different licenses. This is not the way in which we think an infrastructure should go. How to move from there? The best approach for us is that we have to move to the open data. Like in GEOS, when we started with spending a lot of effort, and then we identified the need to qualify which data were really open, and then we focused the effort to give access to the open data. User focus, this is recurring demand. Inspire is data-driven. No, Inspire is user-driven. It's the user that have to define which the data they need for the different application, for the different policies that is dealing with. And if we are starting to consider the data specification from a user perspective, immediately you jump to 2 issues. We want more quality and we want more harmonization. In some cases, we still face the problem of different communities. This has been well raised in Stefano Nativi's presentation. And I speak in particular with the community of statistical services. They have developed their own metadata standard. They have developed their own data exchange standards. They will not change. They will not change to Inspire. So we need to find a way in which we can combine environmental data and statistical data, and probably brokering approach or proxying approach could be a solution. Technology. This has been raised as usual in this conference. We need to identify this, we need to identify this. First, I think that we need to have directions. Every day you have a new technologies. Every day you have a new standards. Every day you have a new initiative. We are operating an operational infrastructure, so we cannot change every day. So we should have a direction. We should know when is the time to change, because the technology is really allowing us to perform much better, but we have not to change just because there is a new technology today. And so it's important that all the experience that you are doing in playing with new technology is shared with all the people. So understanding the impact of new technology, that could be the request for unit identifier, that could be request for new metadata standard like the CAT, that could be, all these requests are coming on our table, in our unit, every day. And every time we have to decide, should we join this working group, should not we join this working group? We try to be connected, but at the same time, we have to be sure that what we are committed to do is done in the right times. So the secret to be able to deal with all what is happening around us, around the Inspire community, is to share knowledge. Some member states are more active, for example, integration of Inspire in government, and I mentioned Denmark in this case. So why we don't try to listen and to learn from what they are doing? And this we did, as you have seen during this conference, some effort with the Arena platform to start to provide a platform in which we can share experience, best practice, and tools. And then there was a lot of issues about the standards are not working as they should do. And there are new standards, and the new standards are requiring the software vendors to adapt and to support an additional standards. Can we avoid the proliferation of standards? Can we do something in order to consolidate existing standards to make them more workable? This is a very important point, because, as Marc Robet says, if we start to sell Inspire as infrastructure to develop new applications and services, you have to be sure that this infrastructure is working. And then, this was also something that has been mentioned by Ezio in his closing remark. We have to think about maybe new business model. There was a lot of presentation and say, okay, we can do this because we have a research project, but we cannot afford the effort to maintain the system operational at the end of the project. Maybe you have to think about new approach to involve more the private sector, in particular small medium enterprise, and one of recurring requests is to open the data. Open the data, and the private sector will do more application and more innovations. Okay, this was the negative part, but I'm not so bad. So there is also some progress that is, for me, was not very, very foreseen. I didn't expect, frankly speaking, that data specification that are adopted because the period of the scrutiny is ended. So we can say that our data specification for Annex 3 are adopted, are already used by other policy. They were published a few months ago. They were adopted by the INSPIRE committee, sorry, a few months ago. And now they are already used by other policies. This is strange, fantastic. This means that the concept to have a multidisciplinary infrastructure is slowly but progressing. There is an increasing number of cross-border initiatives. What has been presented in the Powered by INSPIRE conference was simply organized by the member states without any intervention of the European Commission. We were there to listen what they did. Fantastic. And now you can see the Nordic countries are organizing themselves, Iberian and Spain, the Iberian SDI is organized by Portugal and Spain, and so on. You see a more increasing number of cross-border initiatives and cross-border coordination mechanisms. As mentioned already before, new way to use INSPIRE data in combination with crowdsourced data, and increasing collaboration also between member states that are not neighbors. We have the example of member states joining effort to co-finance software that could serve the different needs, and so to pay altogether fees in order to reduce the software development cost. But we observe also an increasing interest on outside Europe in the use of the INSPIRE framework. Latin America, you saw the presentation here from the GeoSur program. Australia, you saw the presentation of the Australian, and as well for the enlargement countries, for the neighbor countries, there was a parallel session that unfortunately I didn't have the time to report because they were just ending before the starting of this Cronzin plenary. And in some presentation, mainly coming from the work that has been done in the INSPIRE project, you can see also that small medium enterprises already today recognize the benefit coming from INSPIRE. And something new was that we start to see also the academic sector thinking about curricula and new training on geoinformatics that is considering the possibility to create new position and new capacity for future INSPIRE supporters. So this is good. So what is the future? Top priority for me, make INSPIRE working. What this means? We have an infrastructure. We have to maintain and upgrade infrastructure, and the way we have to prioritize in addressing issues that make INSPIRE fully operational. By doing this, we should not forget our principle. Since the beginning is openness and inclusivity. Since the beginning, INSPIRE has not been developed by a few bureaucrats or sitting in the European Commission office, but by you. We create expert group, we create drafting team, we create thematic working group, we create special data analysis community, we engage legally mandated organization. Always you were involved. And this should be the way in which maintenance and implementation should continue. So the fact that we are now creating an expert group for maintenance implementation, the fact that we are creating a pool of experts, doesn't mean that we will not use all the other resources that are contributing today to INSPIRE. That could be umbrella organization, could be local authorities, could be national authorities, or whatever else. So, what is next? I can stop my presentation here, but I will use again one slide, INSPIRE 2.0 for a user perspective. And it's not my view, this is the view of one of the various presentations. I think that we have something to be done next year for the policy evaluation report of INSPIRE, in which we will collect many more of this kind of contribution. But just leave me reading what the Netherlands Environmental Assessment Agency say. We should shift from supply-oriented data, providing toward demand-driven usability of the data. Focus on users. Bridging the gap with other users, like domain specialists, application makers, open data communities, to increase the value of inspired data services. Embracing techniques like use of SLDIs that help to increase the usability of services in website and reports, and make software available, making the use of inspired services possible also for non-technical users. Okay, but then we have limited capacity in the European Commission Inspired team, and we have recurring questions. One of the questions that came from the member of the Inspired Committee and came several times during this conference, the Commission should remain engaged. Now that we finished the legal framework, the Commission can say, okay, now we finished, it's up to you to implement the directive, and we escape. We will not do this. We remain committed. At least JRC has already set up a program for inspired maintenance implementation, and I'm sure that all our co-partners, the European Environment Agency and DG Environment, will continue to be engaged in inspired maintenance and implementation. But we have maybe to promote collaboration. There were a lot of people asking why you are not helping in doing this by promoting collaboration between the partners that otherwise are not working together. We will do. But in order to do this, we have to improve communication. And when I wrote this slide, I remember that was exactly the same slide that I used last year. So in terms of communication, apparently, we are not progressing as we should. We did something, because this year we started with setting up the platform to facilitate the sharing of tools, best practices, and experts. But probably this has been presented for the first time in this conference. You will see the impact probably better next year. We have to better explain inspired benefit. This is why we collected all this video, because we will not use Commission staff to explain the benefit. We will use you that are describing which benefit you see. And we have also to continue, and this we are doing quite well, to discuss with other policymakers in order that they are using Inspire instead to create parallel infrastructures, in order that they are aligning what they are doing in terms of the intelligent transport system, for example, or in terms of the marine strategy framework directive, etc., without reinventing what we already addressed. I think that we should also, as the European Commission, pay more attention to cross-border initiative and also to macro-regional initiative. JRC recently started to support the European Union, the new strategy, in which we have to face and we try to implement Inspire in this area that is including also countries that are not European Union countries. We have to push industry as standardization body to take more serious the support to inspire specifications. We know today that Europe has not the right, is not strong enough to influence standardization body to accelerate their work in order to provide system and software that are compatible with Inspire network service specification, for example. And finally, we should start a program to promote innovation. And the focus could be on application or inspired challenges. For example, why don't think about giving an award of the best inspired apps? Why don't organize the metadata day in which we try to have in one day the maximum number of metadata collected? These type of things should help to engage community and should help to raise awareness about Inspire. We have a potential for growth. Wow. It's me, eh? Before my diet. This capture also this sentence from different presentation. Inspire as a model. Inspire has done a lot of things that can be reused in a repetitive manner to support other policies that are dealing with the collection of information. That could be transport, could be health. We saw already in this conference a presentation from the European Center for Disease. that is coming here enthusiastic to see what Inspire is doing, because we can use this in the framework of health services and spatial planning. We saw what France is planning about the urban planning observatories. Inspire is a platform for territorial innovation. This is, for me, is the key today. Today, the emphasis is on economy, creation of jobs, new market opportunities. And if we make Inspire usable for people that want to innovate, this will be the big success of Inspire, and the more important from our top policymakers. Local regional SDI. We saw a lot of things happening at the local and regional level during this conference, and we saw the difficulties that we still have faced today about the coordination between the local and regional level and the national level. There are good progress, but a lot can be done, and I hope that we see some improvement at the next Inspire conference. So which is the secret of Inspire? Working together. Since several years we are working together, and we continue to grow as a community, and we continue to enlarge the community, and we continue to be engaged. And I hope that this is the only way to make Inspire successful in the year to come. So, just to conclude, this was the ranking today, and I hope that the next year the ranking will increase. Thank you a lot for your attention.